Hey, what's going on? Take two. Something wrong with YouTube Live. But there's always something with social media. Um, okay, take two. This is another episode of the Reporter Vlog for the vlog to June 27th, 2025 on a Friday afternoon, late Friday afternoon. What? Okay. Once again, Trump, like I said before, Trump strikes again, taking away the power of the judges, or some of the judges in the lower courts way, uh, which is something within itself. How can you take the power away from a judge? um, but in his world, it works. But hopefully they can make it hard for him. But it's pretty much his on the Supreme Court. Basically, this story is giving a guy that already has power even more power. A felon, pretty much. But let's get right into it. To get my credits, this is brought to you by the AP Associated Press. Story by Mark Sherman. Mark Sherman. Supreme Court limits nationwide injunctions, but fate of Trump birthright citizenship order is still unclear. Washington AP, a united conservative majority of the Supreme Court ruled Friday that the federal judges lack the authority to grant nationwide injunctions. But the decision left unclear whether President Donald Trump's restrictions on birthright citizenship could soon take effect in part of the country. The outcome represented a victory for Trump, who has complained about judges throwing up obstacles to his agenda. Nationwide or universal injunctions had emerged as an important check on the Republican president's efforts to expand executive power and remake the government a source of mounting frustration to him and his allies. But the court left open the possibility that birthright citizenship changes could remain blocked. Nationwide, Trump's order would deny citizenship to U.S. born children of people who are in the country illegally or temporarily. Cases now returned to lower courts, uh, where judges will have to decide how to tailor their order to comply with the High Court ruling, which was written by Justice Adam Coney Barrett. Adam Coney Barrett. Enforcement of the policy could take place for another 30 days. Barrett wrote. Even then, it's unclear whether the court's decision could produce a confusing patchwork of rules that might differ from the 22 states that sued over the Trump order in the rest of the country. Justice agreed with the Trump administration as well as President Joe Biden's Democratic administration before that judges are overreaching by issuing orders that apply to everyone instead of just the parties. Before the court, judges have issued more than 40 such orders since Trump took office in the second term in January. Administration has filed emergency appeals with justices of many of those orders, including the ones on birthright citizenship. The court rarely hears arguments that issues major decisions on its emergency or shadow docket but it did so in this case. Federal courts wrote, do not exercise general oversight of the executive branch. They resolve cases and controversies consistent with the authority Congress has given them. When the court concluded that the executive branch has acted unlawfully, the answer is not for the court to exceed its powers too. President speaking in the White House briefing room said the decision was amazing and a monumental victory for the Constitution. No, it wasn't. The separation of powers and the rule of law. Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer of New York wrote on X, the decision is an unprecedented and terrifying step toward authoritarianism. A grave danger to our democracy and a predictable move from this extremist MAGA court. Justice Sonia Sotomayor, writing in dissent for the three liberal judges, called the decision nothing less than an open invitation for the government to bypass the Constitution. This is so, Sotomayor said, because the administration may be able to enforce a policy even when it has been challenged and found to be unconstitutional by the lower courts. Let's read that again. Justice Sonia Sotomayor, writing in dissent for this three liberal justices, called the decision nothing less than an open invitation for the government to bypass the Constitution. This is so Sotomayor said because the administration may be able to enforce a policy even when it has been challenged and found to be unconstitutional by the lower court. And that is the reason. That is the reason. Administration didn't even ask if it has no other cases for the lower court rulings to be blocked. Didn't even ask. Completely Sotomayor wrote, to get such relief, the government would have to show that the order is likely constitutional and an impossible task, she wrote. But the ultimate fate of the changes Trump wants to make were not before the court, Bird wrote. Just the rules that apply as the court cases continue. Right groups that sued the policy filed new court documents following the High Court ruling, taking up a suggestion to Justice Brett Kavanaugh. The justices still may be able to reach anyone potentially affected by the birthright citizenship order by declaring them part of the punitive nationwide class. Kavanaugh was part of the court majority on Friday, but wrote a separate concurring opinion. States that also challenged the policy in court said they would have to try to show that the only way to effectively protect the interests was through a nationwide hold. We have every expectation we absolutely will be successful in keeping the 14th Amendment as the law of the land, and of course the birthright citizenship as well, said General Andrea Campbell of Massachusetts. Birthright citizenship automatically makes anyone born in the United States an American citizen, including children born to a mother in the country legally. The right was enshrined soon after the Civil War. The Constitution's 14th Amendment. Soon after the Civil War. In a notable Supreme Court decision from 1898, United States versus Wong Kim Ark, the court held that only children who did not automatically receive U.S. citizenship upon being born in U.S. soil were the children of diplomats who have allegiance to another government's enemies. Present in the U.S. During the hostile occupation, these those born in foreign ships, those born in members of sovereign Native American tribes. The U.S. is among about 30 countries where birthright citizenship, the principle of just soli, or right of the soil, is applied. Most are in the Americas, and Canada, and in Mexico are among them. Trump and his supporters have argued that there should be tougher standards for becoming the American citizen, which he called a priceless and profound gift. Shoot. In the executive order he signed in his first day in office, the Trump administration was asserted that children of the non-citizens are not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States, a phrase used in the amendment, and therefore are not entitled to citizenship. But states, immigrants, and right groups have sued and blocked the executive order and have accused the administration of trying to unsettle the broader understanding of birthright citizenship. They have been accepted since the amendment's adoption. Judges have uninformedly ruled against the administration. The Justice Department had argued that the individual judges lacked the power to give nationwide effect to their rulings. The Trump administration instead wanted the justices to allow Trump's plan to go into effect for everyone except a handful of people and groups that sued. Failing that, the administration argued that the plan could remain blocked for now in the 22 states that sued. uh, Justice also agreed that the administration may make a public announcement about how it plans to carry out the policy of it eventually is allowed to take effect. Ooh, boy, he's alone. He's alone. So basically, he's the Supreme Court pretty much takes the power away from the lower the judges in the lower courts. The court pretty much the judges that pretty much blocked him from doing from carrying out his agenda. That's pretty much what this is all about. So without them, his agenda can go on as normal. His plans can live and go on. In other words, but with them in the way, it makes his plan pretty tough, which is a good thing. If when it comes to this topic as far as birthright citizenship, uh, yeah, it's that boggles the mind how you got your parents or to speak on this topic. This boggles the mind how your parents are illegal, and just because they are illegal, and you are born into this country, that means you cannot stay into this country. You don't have no rights to stay in this country. That don't make no sense within itself. It really don't. It don't make no sense within itself. And that's the reason, yo. Mm, all because your parents are here illegally. All because your parents are here illegally. So basically, this gives him a. This pretty much gives him an opening though to pretty much bring to life that executive order that he wants to bring to life for his birthright citizenship. But hopefully they make it tough on him because he just can't make it easy. And you just can't give him power because he's a felon. Because he's a felon, and power and it's common sense. It's common sense. It really is. You give a you you give a felon the power, and he's gonna grow even worse. Worse, and that's saying something when it comes to him. He's gonna grow even worse and become even more cold. Even more cold. But they did. But it's and that pretty much, like I said, gives him power to pretty much do what he wants. Pretty much, let somebody stands against him, let him. They'll just make it tough for him and not easy. Not easy. But let me go on and get this real quick story. Kind of, kind of, kind of crazy story. Of him. Uh, Trump calls being a president a very dangerous profession. Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, let's move on. Let's get this one. Yeah, get this quick story that that's pretty much landed in my lap. Okay, Trump calls being president a very dangerous profession. Okay, there's okay. To get my credits, this is brought to you by Reuters. And let's see. Well, let's go. Move on. Let's get started. Reuters. President Donald Trump on Friday reflected on threats to his life. He celebrated a court ruling that handed his administration a sweeping power to pursue his policy agenda. And he wonders why people make threats. There's a reason. There's a reason. Asked by a reporter about such threats, the Republican suggested that he is occasionally reminded of when he was grazed in the ear by a bullet at a Pennsylvania campaign rally on July 13th, 2024. I get that throbbing feeling every once in a while, Trump said. But you know what? That's okay. It's a dangerous business. He made the comments during a wide-ranging impromptu White House press conference scheduled to celebrate the U.S. Supreme Court decision that handed him a major victory by curbing federal judges' power to impose nationwide rulings to block his policies. And he's complaining about the presidency being a dangerous job. On Friday, the businessman turned politician described the presidency as riskier than any other most perilous profession. Oh man! You have race car drivers, as an example. 1 in 10 of 1% die. Bull riders 1 in 10 to 1%, and that's not a lot, but it's the people die when you're president. About 5% of somebody would have told me that maybe I wouldn't have run. Okay, this is a very dangerous profession. 4 of the 45 U.S. presidents have been assassinated. um, Several more presidents and candidates have for the office have been shot. There have been several threats on Trump's life. Law enforcement officials said Trump also survived a September 15, 2024 assassination attempt while he was golfing on his course in West Palm Beach, Florida. The suspect is the incident faces 5 federal charges and has pleaded not guilty. The July shooting suspect was shot to death by Secret Service agents. One person in the Pennsylvania rally was killed, 2 others were wounded. The United States also separately said Iran elite Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps at one point attempted to assassinate Trump. Iran also nuclear facilities were bombed by U.S. forces last weekend. He has denied the allegation. Trump, serving his second term in office, has pushed an expansive vision of presidential power, sharply attacked his political foes, vowed retribution against them. The United States is experiencing the most sustained period of political violence since the 1970s. Let's repeat that again. The United States is experiencing the most sustained period of political violence since the 1970s. Reuters has documented more than 300 cases of politically motivated violent acts since Trump supporters attacked the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021. Let's read that again. Reuters have documented more than 300 cases of politically motivated violent acts since Trump supporters attacked the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021. Enough said, enough said. When you start the fire, pretty much sum this story up. When you start the fire and you got the matches in your hand, don't expect people to be sympathetic. Don't expect people that don't like you to be sympathetic. And this pretty much sums it up. The U.S. Supreme Court's decision that handed him a major victory by curbing federal judges' power to impose nationwide rulings that block his policies. You expect people to be sympathetic when you pretty much got federal judges losing their power that stood in the way from you as far as you fulfilling your so-called America First agenda. So like I said, if you are holding the matches, you done started the fire, don't expect people to be sympathetic. Don't expect people to be sympathetic. But that'll do it. For this out of the way, I guess it's a double header of the reporter vlog for June 27, 2025. Yeah, have a good one. Have a good weekend. I'm out. God help us.